afternoon, I'm Michael Morrow and we're bringing you a special edition of Herald now. We are covering breaking news this afternoon after a fire has broken out at a supermarket in Auckland CBD. Thick black smoke has filled the air at New World and Victoria Park. Residents have been asked to avoid the area and close their windows. The most recent update is that the fire is still not under control. Frightened shoppers have told the Herald an alarm went off and they had to flee the building, abandoning their trolleys. We're joined now by reporter Susie Nordquist, who is outside the New World. And Susie, if you can hear me, what is the situation at the moment? We're just waiting to talk to our reporter Susie Nordquist, but at the moment you can see the fire is still very much involved. The smoke is wafting right up over the city and across Ponsonby. We're told the fire started around 11:18 a.m. this morning. Workers reported seeing huge bright flames and shoppers essentially had to get out immediately, abandoning everything that they had in their trolleys. The smoke filled the entire store. At least 7 trucks and a command centre have set up at the scene, and the most recent information is that this has been upgraded to a 4th alarm, so more firefighting crews and appliances are on the way. Our Herald team is on the scene and they've spoken to some workers who were in the store when the fire broke out.
So I was like in the first 10 people.
First 10 people out?
Yeah, and then when I came out, I saw like there was a blaze and there was smoke coming out.
I saw a hell lot of smoke coming out of the roof of a building at New World Victoria Park. We walked in there to do some work. I'm a supplier. And within 15 minutes of being inside, I experienced the fire drill.
Well, our reporter Katie Harris is standing by at Victoria Park by the New World on the scene of this massive fire. Katie, what's the latest? What are you seeing there?
Kia ora, Mike. As you can see behind me, there's firefighters on the rooftop above the car park area. They're currently battling a blaze in the rooftop over there, but as you can see already, this area by the entry of the New World, where you would normally see flowers as you enter the shop, has already lost a wall. You can see black smoke billowing out into the air. There's about maybe 100 or so people here watching the blaze and having their lunch.
Yeah, and I suppose, Katie, this would have been a fairly busy time of the day for the supermarket just before lunchtime when the blaze broke out. Do we have any idea of the number of shoppers who may have been inside at the time and how they were feeling as smoke started filling the store?
We're not across that information at the moment, but I've personally shopped at this New World store many times during lunchtime, and I can say it's normally jam-packed during the lunch hour.
Yeah, and what is the scene down there in terms of traffic control and the warning to the public in the area at the moment? I understand essentially emergency services just asking people to steer clear of this entire area.
Yeah, as you can see, Victoria Street is currently blocked off, so cars can't come up and down this road. The public are asked to stay away, but I think a lot of people are intrigued by the fire that's happening, and some people that were in the shop are currently here now.
Yeah, and is there any indication yet, Katie, that this blaze is being brought under control? I mean, behind you I can see that, you know, smoke is still filling the air. Have you had any indication from emergency services that they're on top of this, or is this still very much an active emergency?
When I first got here, I couldn't see any of this blistering or extreme smoke coming from this part of the building. A lot of the smoke was coming more towards the entry of the actual shop over my shoulder here, whereas now you can see it's quite involved in this area, and there's a lot of focus by fire and emergency staff up here. I think from what I can see, there's not any smoke coming from this part of the building, where about 10 minutes ago there was a lot of smoke. So in that side of things, perhaps that's getting under control, but I've seen a lot more fire smoke coming from over here.
That's our reporter, Katie Harris. Thanks so much for joining us, Katie, and bringing us the very latest. If you're just joining us, this is breaking news on the Herald now. A huge fire has broken out at the New World near Victoria Park. It started around 11:15 this morning. At least 7 fire trucks are at the scene and a command unit are also there. We're going to go now to our reporter, Susie Nordquist, who is also outside the New World. And Susie, I understand you were actually leaving the office and then you noticed thick black smoke billowing from the supermarket next to you.
We're in central Auckland here, and Victoria Park's New World is up in flames. Firefighters were called about 11:15 this morning. To this, there's about 30 firefighters in attendance, and they're trying to douse the flames here behind me, but you can see they're having a bit of a job doing that. This fire has been upgraded recently to a 4th alarm. What that means is that it's essentially not under control. Huge crowds have gathered all around here, and construction workers are here just to my right. They were in the supermarket at the time working on the building, and there's talk that this fire may have started in a storeroom at the time.
Okay, Susie, and we're just looking at some live aerial pictures at the moment of this fire, and you know, you can see the smoke sort of wafting up right across the city. Do we know, is this sort of affecting residents and businesses in other areas apart from right next to Victoria Park?
Yeah, we've just actually heard in the last few minutes that residents in nearby suburbs of Ponsonby and Grey Lynn are being told to keep their windows closed. We've also seen some pictures circulating of the fire being seen on Auckland's North Shore over the bridge here in Takapuna, which is a fair distance from here. So that gives you a sense of the scale of this fire.
And do we know anything more? You mentioned the fire may have started in a storeroom. Have you heard anything from emergency services or anyone else on the scene, you know, how quickly the fire and smoke sort of took over the supermarket, or how this may have started in the first instance?
Look, all we've heard is that it may have started in a storeroom, that construction workers were doing renovations at the time. Everyone is accounted for that's come from fire and emergency, but underneath this building is actually a car park. So I assume that all the vehicles are still in there, but the main thing is that everyone is accounted for.
And it looks like there's just fire and emergency behind you at the moment, and from what I can see, you know, at least sort of 8 firefighters standing by. How many others have sort of gathered around in this busy lunchtime hour to watch what's been happening?
Look, I'd say bystanders, they're quite curious. There's probably hundreds of people out here, a mix of the construction workers to my right, and then over at Victoria Park to my left here, a lot of members of the public. But these roads have actually been closed off, so it's hard for members of the public to get here. You can smell the fire here, and look, it's quite spectacular behind me. As you can see, I've got a cherry picker here. They're trying to fight the fire from above, but as I say, it is still a 4th alarm, and it's not under control.
Thanks very much. That's our reporter Susie Nordquist live for us outside the New World by Victoria Park. And just to reiterate what Susie was talking about there with this 4th alarm, a 4th alarm signifies a large fire, a serious incident that requires a substantial deployment of firefighting crews. And so we understand at the moment that fire crews, additional resources are still on their way to the scene at the moment. I'm going to bring in Chelsea Daniels now, who's with us from our newsroom. And Chelsea, this is a pretty significant fire in a very busy part of Auckland CBD. Do we know what fire and emergency are telling us at the moment in terms of what's actually going on?
Yeah, so the latest from Fire and Emergency New Zealand is that firefighters are continuing to respond to the fire in Auckland, of course. We've seen 16 trucks and a command unit are in attendance as at 12:30, with trucks brought in as far as Devonport, Titirangi, Papatoetoe to provide that additional personnel as well. 2 aerial trucks working above the fire to bring it under control. The public is advised, of course, at this point to continue to avoid the area with the roads around the supermarkets closed. Smoke is drifting up into the Ponsonby area and towards Grey Lynn as well. So residents impacted by the smoke and in those areas are advised to close their windows and doors and avoid going outside if possible. Now, in terms of traffic, Auckland Transport has said that due to the building fire in College Hill, of course, we know where that is, the Franklin Road and Scotland Road are now closed. Avoid this area or expect delays with diversions in place affecting all traffic in that area as well.
Chelsea Daniels, thanks so much for bringing us the very latest. We will come back to you as more information comes through. That's our reporter Chelsea Daniels. Well, we've heard from Auckland Mayor Wayne Brown on Facebook, and people are advised to avoid the area with roads around the supermarket closed. Smoke is drifting up, as Chelsea mentioned, into the Ponsonby area and towards Grey Lynn. Residents impacted by the smoke are advised to keep their windows and doors closed and avoid going outside if possible. We've been speaking to some people who left the store shortly after the fire broke out. Let's have a listen to what they had to say.
Told to evacuate, so I was like in the first 10 people.
First 10 people out?
Yeah, and then when I came out, I saw like there was a blaze and there was smoke coming out.
I saw a hell lot of smoke coming out of the roof of a building at New World Victoria Park. We walked in there to do some work. I'm a supplier. And within 15 minutes of being inside, I experienced the fire drill.
Well, if you're just joining us, this is a special edition of Herald Now. We're covering breaking news this afternoon after a huge fire has broken out at a New World in central Auckland. The fire started at the New World around 11:15 this morning. Workers reported seeing bright flames and shoppers were told to leave the area. The fire is still not under control, and fire appliances and crews have been sent to the scene from around Auckland. We'll take you back now to our reporter Susie Nordquist, who is outside the New World. And Susie, have you got any further update for us about what's happening on the ground there?
Look, there's huge crowds gathered around me, the public, firefighters. There's 16 fire trucks in attendance. They've come from northwest, South Auckland, so that gives you an idea of how big this fire is. This is a well-known supermarket in Auckland Central, New World Victoria Park, and there were shoppers inside at the time. They've all been accounted for, but underneath the building is actually a car park, so we assume there's still cars in there. You can see behind me that it's still a fairly big fire. It's alarm 4, which means it's not under control at all. They're trying though. You can see behind me with the hoses there, and there was a cherry picker you might not be able to see with firefighters up there trying to attack the fire from above. But look, a fairly major incident in Auckland this afternoon.
Yeah, interesting you saying that the fire crews have come from all around Auckland. I guess that signifies just how much of a huge emergency crews have on their hands. So what does it smell like where you're standing from at the moment? I mean, can you smell the smoke, or is it kind of drifting up further towards Ponsonby and away from you there?
I can smell it, but there's a bit of a breeze here at the moment. It is drifting, and in fact, recently residents in Ponsonby, nearby suburbs, Ponsonby and Grey Lynn, have been told to close their windows. So look, and also there's been photos circulating showing that you could actually see this fire from Auckland's North Shore, from Takapuna, and that's some distance from here.
And tell me, Susie, I mean, you were essentially finishing here at work. You came down and you initially saw the smoke, but what I'm interested in knowing is, about an hour ago when you saw the smoke initially coming from the supermarket, has that increased? I mean, has the presence of firefighters increased, and has the smoke increased since you first saw this about an hour ago and got in touch with the newsroom?
Yeah, definitely a lot more people on the scene, a mix of the public but also firefighters. When I went past earlier, sirens were blaring, but look, I was on the other side of the building, but I would say there's just as much smoke as before. So, as I say, firefighters have a bit of a battle on their hands. There's a number of them here, but the smoke is still billowing. It's probably shooting up, well, it was before, hundreds of metres into the air.
Okay, Susie Nordquist, thank you so much for your time. We'll leave it there. And if you're just joining us, this is a special edition of Herald Now. We're covering breaking news this afternoon after a huge fire broke out at Victoria Park at the New World. It started around 8:15 this morning and smoke filled the entire store. We are told that there are fire crews from around Auckland who are attending this blaze. It has been registered as a fourth alarm incident. So this signifies the seriousness of the situation and that there are crews from around Auckland being called in to assist and try and bring the blaze under control. Our reporter Katie Harris is standing by at Victoria Park next to the New World. And Katie, what's the scene like now? I can see the cherry picker behind you. It looks like they're still working pretty hard to bring this under control.
Kia ora, Mike. Since we last chatted, as you can see, this wall is really getting decimated by the fire. We've seen this cherry picker come up in the last few minutes, but when I first got here, it was a full wall, and now it's got holes all through it in fire. As you can see over here, hundreds of people have come to watch the fire. When we first got here, there was maybe 50 or so, whereas now the crowds are coming on their lunch break to have a look at what's going on down here. You'll also see that inside the New World, this area where you would normally enter the shop, you can see straight through and into that wall cavity. We can even see a digger that had been on the other side of that wall area. There's still a little bit of smoke coming from the main store, but I would say from where I'm standing, the main area of the fire is just over here, near where the upstairs car park is. There's also an apartment building over here. And I can't see anything coming from that area, but there are firefighters on the rooftop here.
Yeah, and Katie, from what I can see in the live pictures behind you, it looks like there is a huge amount of damage to the supermarket itself, especially in terms of smoke damage. But would that be correct? I mean, I know that walls have not sort of collapsed in their entirety or anything like that, but it looks like there's a lot of damage from heat and smoke.
I go past the supermarket all the time, Mike, and I would say this is significant damage. You can't usually see right into the shop from here. There's normally a wall. And yeah, over here, significant damage. We can see there's still a bit of smoke coming from there, so I would imagine there's damage to the main store as well.
Okay, and what are you hearing from people who have gathered there at the scene? I mean, it looks like there's dozens of onlookers who've gathered, probably some of whom managed to get out of the supermarket in the nick of time when this fire broke out. Yeah, what are people saying to you who are gathering there at the scene?
A lot of people have come down here on their lunch break that are just curious about the fire and what's going on. I have seen some people that have been in the store and just wanted to see what's going on and what happens now, but I would say a large majority of the people here now are actually just curious.
Yeah, and I can just see in behind you there's an apartment block, you know, a series of apartments up there. One would assume that the people in there have heeded the warnings from officials to, you know, close windows and that sort of thing, because is smoke drifting across towards those apartments, or is it more sort of spreading up the hill towards Ponsonby at the moment?
I think there is some smoke in this area. It would be unwise to stay in this apartment building right now. The apartment building seems to be very close, if not connected, at some point to the wall along the car park. So I would imagine most people inside that block, which is surrounded by firefighters, fire trucks and police cars, have probably already evacuated.
And since you have arrived there, Katie, have you seen more fire appliances and fire personnel arrive there? So we've just had a live fire and emergency. We'll just leave it there for a moment, Katie. We've just had a fire and emergency alert that's come through. So we will go to Chelsea Daniels, who's here with us in the studio. So I just see that Civil Defence has put out an emergency alert, and it reads, a large fire in College Hill is producing smoke that is travelling southwest. Close all windows and doors and await further instructions. Do we have any more information from Fire and Emergency, Chelsea, at this point about whether in fact they're getting this fire under control?
No word yet on how it's getting under control, but you can see by those images they're attacking it from all angles, right? They've got the aerial appliances, which are those with the huge cranes at the top, and they're attacking it from above, and they're really trying hard at all angles. I have seen that the Herald has got a statement from Savoury Construction. They were actually doing renovations at the site. The managing director there, Daniel Clark, says every one of his workers is out, everyone's safe and accounted for. So that's some good news for anyone whose family members may have been working at the site, you know, and they haven't been able to contact them.
Yeah, I mean, it is an incredibly busy part of the CBD, especially around that sort of late morning sort of rush hour around lunch, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I see people all going in there all the time to get lunch, especially around that 11. It broke out just after 11, right? So if you're an early bird or an early riser or want to get some lunch early, then you'd be there. But thankfully, it doesn't seem like at this stage that anyone is inside the building. There have been reports, and we've seen from our reporters on the scene as well, the exterior seems like it's bubbling, blistering and peeling away almost.
Yeah, and so I'll just go through this fire and emergency alert that's come through from Civil Defence, and it says a large fire in College Hill is producing smoke that is travelling southwest. Close all windows and doors and await further instructions. So I guess, Chelsea, I mean, that's indicative, if we've got this alert now from Civil Defence, that, you know, the situation is still evolving as we're broadcasting right now. Absolutely,
and you know that those things go off in your phone. I mean, mine hasn't gone off actually, which is something to question. I can hear everybody's alarms around the office going off at different times. So why are you more special than me, Mark?
Well, look, I don't know, but yeah, mine certainly sounded a while. But yeah, you can hear those beeps going off all through the office right now. And if you're just joining us, there is a major fire at the New World at Victoria Park. It started around 18 minutes past 11 this morning. The supermarket was full of shoppers. All have been accounted for and they did get out. But what we know is that there are 16 trucks and a command unit at the scene. There are 2 aerial trucks working above the fire to bring it under control. And a fire and emergency spokesperson says the fire has now been upgraded to a 4th alarm and the fire is still not under control. So more trucks and firefighters are on the way to the scene from across Auckland. As I mentioned before, all people have been accounted for, but roads around the supermarket have been closed, and residents in surrounding areas have been told to close their windows and doors and avoid going outside. The smoke has been described as acrid, and it has been wafting over homes and businesses in nearby Ponsonby, and we're also told in Grey Lynn. Let's go back to our reporter, Susie Nordquist, who is at the scene. And Susie, what is the latest from where you're standing at the moment?
Well, as you can see behind me, firefighters are trying to attack this fire from all angles, but it is still an alarm 4. That effectively means it's a fire that's not under control. And as you mentioned, fire trucks from all across Auckland have come to this fire. They were alerted at 11:20 this morning. But as you can see behind me, the hoses have just actually busted through the side of the New World building, and on the other side you can see sort of charring from the smoke. So pretty major response here, pretty major fire today. Lots of people, lots of bystanders around curious as to what's going on, but from what we can gather, everyone is accounted for.
And Susie, so have you seen in the past while you've been down there for about the last sort of hour or so, are you seeing more fire crews, more appliances turn up to assist in this emergency?
Yeah, well, the latest that we've heard is that fire trucks have come from all across Auckland to help, from Devonport, Teterangi, Papatoi, so south, west and north Auckland. And they're sort of both sides of the building here. There's a huge police response as well. A lot of the roads around here have been cordoned off, and from what I gather, public transport is also being affected.
And yeah, I mean, this. Can you just explain whereabouts you are in relation to the supermarket and the fire? What road are you on, and are all the roads blocked off in the vicinity?
Yeah, so I'm standing here on College Hill, which goes up to Ponsonby, and that's where the smoke is actually drifting to, where residents are being told to close their windows, and in nearby Grey Lynn. So behind me there's a cordon. You can see in front of me there's a police car with its lights on, a cordon there as well, and from all angles really.
And I mean, we've heard that everyone has been accounted for. Is that your information, that those who were inside the supermarket have got out, they are safe? What about the car park which you referenced earlier? Is there any indication that there are people down there?
Yeah, so Fire and Emergency said everyone's accounted for, but there is a car park underneath the building, which is where people drive and leave their car before going shopping. So I can only assume there's still vehicles in there. There's also an apartment building here to my left. Earlier there were people sort of hanging out the windows, but I can't see anyone at this stage, so perhaps they have been evacuated.
And is there any way, from where you're standing, it's hard to see whether there's, you know, evidence of damage to the actual New World, but from what you're seeing, is this quite a significant event that has destroyed a section of the supermarket there?
Yeah, it's a huge fire here. You might be able to see that they're fighting the fire from above, and they've just busted the hoses through the side of the building. On the other side, there's a lot of charring from the smoke from the fire itself. So pretty major response, and firefighters from all across Auckland are here this afternoon. It's still an alarm 4, so that effectively means the fire is not yet under control. They've got a bit of a battle on their hands.
Yeah, they do indeed. Susie Nordquist live for us on College Hill. Thank you so much for talking to us. I'm going to go to our reporter now, Katie Harris, who is on the other side from where Susie is standing, and it looks like she's joined with someone else there. Katie, what is the latest from where you are at the moment?
Kia ora, Mike. As you can see, the fire is still well and truly involved over here. We've got someone up on the ladder just spraying it, but it's still smoking quite hard. I'm actually here with Sky. Sky, why did you pop down to watch this?
I was just grabbing my coffee across the road and was like, I think New World might be on fire, and I don't know, just came to check it out.
And how long have you been here?
Maybe about like 15, 20 minutes now, yeah.
And how has the fire evolved since you've been here?
Well, like, I could see it from my window, like, it seemed like an hour ago, maybe even a little more, so I guess it's just slowly gotten bigger. Now it seems a little bit smaller than it was before. Yeah, about 5 minutes ago it was raging.
Yeah, and where's your window?
It's just like on the other side of Victoria Park right over there.
Wow, so you could see it from all the way over there?
Yeah.
Cool, and have you ever been to a fire like this before? Is that why you came down?
I used to live in California, and we could sometimes see huge, the fires that happen in LA and stuff like that, but nothing like this close. Also my local supermarket where I normally get my bananas and stuff. It's kind of weird.
And this area, what was normally in that area that's fully kind of gone now?
I think that was like kind of the entrance to the actual.
I think that was where you walk up and down.
Yeah, you walk into it. Yeah, I'm kind of surprised. I'm like, wait, this already looks so different. Like, it seems like it's already taken it out.
And how do you feel about seeing your local supermarket destroyed like this?
I don't know. I guess it's like mixed feelings. Like, I mean, rationally, I'm just like, oh, this just sucks for people that own it, the people that live nearby it, all that sort of thing. And for me, I'm just like, I'm gonna have to walk an extra 5 minutes to like get my food or whatever. But I don't know. It's also kind of like a crazy spectacle, so kind of interesting to watch. But yeah, mostly, it kind of just sucks for people.
Thanks, Guy.
Yeah.
if you're just joining us, this is breaking news, a special edition of Herald Now. There's a huge fire that's broken out at the New World in Auckland's CBD, and the Herald team is on the scene, and they've been speaking to workers who were in the store in the New World. This was about 11:15 this morning when the fire broke out. Let's have a listen to what they had to say.
Told to evacuate, so I was like in the first 10 people.
First 10 people out?
Yeah, and then when I came out, I saw like there was a blaze and there was smoke coming out.
I saw a hell lot of smoke coming out of the roof of a building at New World Victoria Park. We walked in there to do some work. I'm a supplier, and within 15 minutes of being inside, I experienced the fire drill.
And if you're just joining us, this is the Herald Now. We're covering breaking news this afternoon. A huge fire in Auckland CBD at a supermarket. We are hearing that an official briefing may be happening soon, so we'll bring you the very latest, and we will cross live to that when we know more about the timing around that briefing. We're going to go to our the desk here, and we've got the front page host, Chelsea Daniels. What are you hearing in terms of the latest from the newsroom and from Fire and Emergency?
So apparently Freeman's Bay School nearby, all children have been told to return to class, close doors and windows. They're staying inside for lunch. Nearby schools and businesses obviously should be staying inside. We've covered a lot of the fires over the years, hey Mike? And even if it's not yet under control now, that means that it's going to continue on for hours, even days. Dampening down those hot spots is going to take ages, hey?
And you can just see from the live pictures as well that there's actually holes that have, ripped through the walls and some of the walls around the supermarket. I mean, yeah, this will take a long time to bring under control. It sounds like from our reporters on the scene that this is a fourth alarm event, so it's not under control, and it sounds like there are crews and appliances that have converged on the scene from all around Auckland. Is that what you've been hearing as well?
Yeah, and presumably because there's 16 on the way as well, hey? So a lot of different appliances being used around in the area. Police are on the scene now as well. And we've got some information about the owner of Victoria Park New World, a businessman, Rob McGregor. He brought two New World supermarkets between 95 and 99, including the popular Victoria Park store, of course. In an interview with the Bay of Plenty Times, McGregor said he'd never thought he'd enter the grocery trade after leaving university, but it turned out it was too much in his blood. His father owned a New World in Tekawiti, apparently.
Okay, fine.
So Rob's got a bit of I bet he's on the phone right now, hey?
Absolutely, no doubt he will be. Thank you so much, Chelsea Daniels, for joining us and bringing us the very latest from Fire and Emergency. At Freeman's Bay School, a few hundred metres south of the supermarket, almost 600 pupils are being kept inside, as Chelsea's just mentioned. Children are on their morning tea break and were alerted to the fire after smelling smoke and telling a teacher, who then told her deputy principal, Helen Armstrong, said that we saw a plume of smoke. We took the children inside and closed the windows. And this is the key information that we were hearing at the moment from Civil Defence. The advice to people in the vicinity is to close windows and doors. The smoke is wafting right across the city, up towards Ponsonby and also Grey Lynn. So pupils are now being kept in their classrooms under supervision. During the school's lunch break, which began at 1 p.m, Armstrong, the principal there, said the kids were quite excited, as you can imagine that. We told them everyone was safe and that the fire and emergency teams were there. She did not know if any, actually we're going to return right now to Susie Nordquist, who is at the scene for us on College Hill. And Susie, you are there with someone. What is the very latest you can tell us about the situation where you're standing?
Yeah, well, I've got Ming here with me this afternoon, and she was actually in the supermarket at the time, and her car is still underneath in the car park. Ming, can you tell me what happened?
I can hear noise, the machine drawn, the ground drawn how, I don't know, nothing happened. Just the machine very annoying. The drawn, the ground hole. They fix it on by the lift downstairs, the drawn the hole. Not long ago, smoke car, the long on. Then the service down there, no, the new way, the service demand. You need to go up, the fire, come on, there's some smoking. I don't know what happened. Just very noisy, could join the head, so make the ground had a hole. They're very annoying.
So you could see the smoke and the flames when you're inside the supermarket?
The worker down there, they've got a fire come up. You need to go up for 5 minutes, hit float. It's the fire can't off, still keep going more stronger, scary. My car's still there. This is no good idea, bad idea. The worker down there deal with not safe, need a safe.
And how many shoppers were in the supermarket at the time, do you think?
Quite few people down there, quite few people shopping. What are they doing? I got my friend working here. I got Malaysia, a couple of friends working here.
And can you describe what it was like being told that the supermarket is on fire and that you had to get out?
Yeah, he told me get out, but he don't tell me he don't tell me get out, not shopping in the new way. He don't tell me, and then I finish shopping, and then I already stop and start the money, pay the money. Oh, you need to go out later, come and pay them later, and then I listen to worker down there. I pay them later, but it keeps still going. I don't know what happened.
So you walked out with your groceries,
yeah,
and how are you feeling now?
I'm feeling bad, I'm feeling scary.
Scared?
Yeah, I'm feeling bad and scary.
And what have you been told about what's happening by the supermarket?
No, tell me anything. No, I just pay a groceries really. I just pay a groceries, I finish it. I haven't got the meatball for brigadier. And we go on the Kantang and Ponson Bay and found them with my worker. My worker likes like small meatball, then she haven't got any this time. That's all, then not long ago, I already found them now. I'm gonna pay them, I'm ready to go home. You can't start nobody walking down there, and then I have put a grocery in the new way.
A terrible experience for you this afternoon, Ming. Thank you for joining us.
I don't know, this is a very bad idea.
Yeah, that's our reporter Susie Nordquist there outside the supermarket talking to a shopper who was inside when that massive fire started. Well, Auckland Transport has posted on X, due to a building fire at College Hill, Victoria Street, Franklin Road and Scotland Street are now closed. So they're warning people to avoid this area or expect delays with diversions in place affecting all traffic. That includes the bus services. Well, we're going to go back to our reporter, Katie Harris, who is standing by outside the supermarket at Victoria Park. And Katie, from what I could see last time you crossed with us, you can actually see holes in the side of the building where the fire has come through. Is that correct?
Yes, we could, but we've actually just slightly shifted our perspective now, so we're near the side of where kind of the entryway to the supermarket was here, and you can see now this is all exposed. While we've been standing here, the crowd has thinned out quite significantly. I think people are going back to work after having a look. We've been hearing a lot of loud booms coming from inside the main part of the store here. I'm not sure what that is, but it's quite loud. And I've also seen another emergency service vehicle arrive, but as you can see, the crowd has thinned out slightly and there's more emergency service personnel that are present.
And Katie, we're just looking at some quite incredible still photos on the filed by our photographers on the ground there. You know, you've been there for just over an hour at this point. Is there any indication in terms of the work that the fire crews are doing or how busy they are that they are getting this situation under control, or is this still a sort of unfolding emergency in your view?
When I first got here, there was some quite thick black smoke coming from the store itself, whereas now you can see these patches of blue sky coming through and you can still see quite a lot of smoke, but it is petering out in my view. From here, I think you can see a lot of people are at work still trying to get this area under control, but I think there is a reduction in the smoke. Yeah, it does seem to be getting underway a little bit.
And Katie, we can see even directly behind you, there's still a lot of people who have come down. This is fairly significant road closures. Can you just remind our viewers who are tuning in from around the country that this is a very busy part of Auckland CBD, right? So this will cause disruptions,
yes.
Across the afternoon.
Yeah. This will be causing major disruption right now. This road here takes you right onto the motorway. And so for a lot of people coming from inside town, they would usually be coming down Victoria Street here, which is fully blocked off, and going this way onto the motorway to get to the North Shore. But now this pathway to get onto the bridge is shut. Also, College Hill here, which is a route to get in and out of the city, is also closed. So it's going to cause a bit of a log jam in other areas in the city.
And I mean, it's sort of 1:30 at the moment. I guess the key thing is the sort of rush hour when people are actually trying to head home. What is the advice that you're hearing, from emergency services and from police about, coming into this area?
People are being told to avoid this area, to shut their windows and to not come and take a look. Obviously, a lot of people are not following that advice and coming down to take a look, but there's still a lot of smoke here. There's still a bit of risk, so the advice is not to come near the supermarket right now.
And do we know what the situation is further up from where you are at the moment? We know that the advice, and it's come through from Civil Defence, is that people should remain inside, close their doors, close their windows, avoid the smoke. Is that smoke still drifting up over the city and towards sort of Ponsonby and Grey Lynn?
From what I can see, the smoke has reduced significantly. When I first got here, it was shooting hundreds of metres up into the sky. I would say, in my view, it looked like 1,000, but my colleagues said hundreds. Now I would say it's 20 or 30 metres up in the sky and then dissipating. I did speak to a couple earlier who live in that apartment building there, and they said they weren't actually evacuated, but they chose to leave anyway. I think people are just being careful and taking extra precaution because that apartment block is so close to the supermarket.
It's our reporter Katie Harris. Katie, thanks so much for bringing us the very latest there from the scene. Obviously still an evolving emergency for fire crews in the area, even though the smoke is starting to dissipate somewhat from the supermarket there at Victoria Park. I'm joined by the front page host, Chelsea Daniels. And Chelsea, I understand that there is a bit more information. Oh, excuse us, that is another emergency alert that's come through from Civil Defence.
That is just my one from before. Remember when I said that I didn't get it? What was the gap between yours and mine?
Well, I think it was at least 20 minutes. So we'll just read to you what that alert says. You might actually have to bring yours up, Chelsea, because mine's disappeared.
This fire and emergency, a large fire in College Hill is now producing smoke that is travelling southwest. Close all windows and doors and await further instructions. So it was exactly the same as the one that you sent before.
Okay. Well, yeah, these delays have happened before. Now, we understand we're waiting on some official word from Fire and Emergency. We're obviously at this scene. There are trucks and personnel from across Auckland who are attending this blaze. What do we know about this official briefing that may be happening? Anything further on that?
Right, so we got something through from Fire and Emergency New Zealand, and the media are going to attend a stand-up with the incident controller Vaughan Macareth about the fire at New World Victoria Park. We're hoping that will happen around 2 p.m. But as we know, that these things can never really go on time, so it could be before, it could be after, but everybody watching along should be able to watch live with us.
Absolutely. Now, I understand that some evidence bags have been given out by police to some residents nearby. Can you explain what police have asked residents to do?
So a reporter at the scene actually found, because she's near the cordon, right? So she's just looking around, seeing what's happening. Those construction workers that were working on the renovations at Victoria Park, New World, have apparently been given evidence bags with police around the scene. So nothing more on that really, and it could just be procedure at this point. But how terrifying being inside a New World and doing your shopping and seeing flames and smoke.
I know, it is pretty terrifying. If you're just joining us, this is a special edition of Herald Now. You can see live right now, we've got some incredible photos up. I mean, this is really a huge response from fire crews around Auckland, Chelsea.
Oh, incredible response. And obviously not the first time that we've seen a massive fire on Victoria Street West either, Mike. You remember the convention centre roof fire. When was that, 2022?
2022, yes, yeah, it was. And we know with this fire at the moment, you know, started this morning about 11:15, and it's really kind of it involved the whole store. I mean, shoppers have told our Herald reporters that, you know, it filled up with smoke quite rapidly. So pretty terrifying stuff.
Gosh, and people's cars underneath that car park as well will still be there, like we saw from the front lines there as well. But rubbernecking is something that fire and emergency do advise against, and rubbernecking is going out and having a look at something, hey? So I know that people do have the inclination to go have a good squiz, but probably not the best idea.
I'm certain that would be the advice from Fire and Emergency and Police to avoid the area, stay off the roads. If you don't need to be there, then head off. But obviously there's still a fair number of people who are trying to get to their vehicles because they were shopping at the time, right?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I go down there all the time on my way home from work. So it's got that underground, it's kind of underneath, for people who don't know, there's an underneath car park underneath the actual Newmarket, and then you walk up the bit with your trolley. So there would be, there's a space for a fair amount of cars down there as well. So I wonder how many people are actually waiting around to try and get their vehicle back. And how long it's going to take as well. It could be contaminated down there. You never know the amount of water that's going through. I remember the convention centre fire. My car was underneath the convention centre, and they said that it was basically flooded. The last couple of floors so it took a fair few days to get our cars out of there.
And I guess you know, something to point out for our viewers at home is that this is a very, very busy part of Auckland, right? You can see the road closures we've got up on the screen at the moment, but Chelsea, this is essentially in the middle of the CBD, right?
Yeah.
So this will be having quite an impact on movements around the city, traffic and that sort of thing, bus services.
Imagine what peak hour is going to be like at this point, hey, with all these road closures around this particular area, because you've got a lot of high-rise buildings around this area. Of course, Spark, you've got us, you've got TVNZ down the way. And a fair few, when you're going towards Freeman's Bay, there are a few office spaces over there as well. So a lot of people concentrated in this small area, hey?
And the other point is that this area where we are and where the New World is actually, it is a key route to get onto the motorway to go across the bridge. In fact, it's a key sort of arterial route. So could lead to quite a few issues come 5 o'clock this afternoon. Although, I mean, it looks like from the scene down there that, you know, they're making some progress. But as we know with fires like this, if it's a fourth alarm, this isn't going to be over in an hour or anything like that, is it?
Yeah, so just because we can't see the flames or the billowing smoke, I mean, those smoke pictures from this morning were pretty harrowing, right? Those massive plumes, and that's kind of died down a lot now from the photos and from the footage that we've got at the scene. But like I said, those dampening down of hotspots, that's what's going to kill you. So basically with fires, they start at the perimeter and try to, well, I'm thinking of forest fires and bushfires, but I suppose the same principle would apply, right? Yeah. I'll put on my my expert hat for a second. I've covered a lot of fires in my time. They basically try and encapsulate the fire and then work inwards, and then you've got those hot spots with, you know, you've got whatever materials the building's made out of. They've got to make sure that that's all okay, and then goodness knows the contamination of the actual space as well. And imagine all of that water going through all those products.
Well, I think they're all a write-off, aren't they?
They'd have to be.
I mean, just the smoke itself would be enough to have to get rid of everything.
Smoke alone. And I mean, this is the start of the conversation, right? In a week's time, 2 weeks' time, we're going to be talking about the insurance We're going to be talking about the damage of the building and excavating that massive block of land in the middle of Victoria Street West as well is going to take ages and cause major disruptions down the track.
That's Chelsea Daniels from the Front Page. Thank you so much for bringing us the very latest from our newsroom here in Auckland. Recapping what we know so far, there are 16 trucks and a command unit at the scene of this fire at New World Victoria Park. Aerial trucks working above the fire are also trying to bring it under control. A fire and emergency spokesperson says the fire has now been upgraded to a 4th alarm. That essentially means the fire is not yet under control and they are bringing in resources from outside the central city. More trucks and firefighters are on their way and all people have been accounted for. So we don't have any information that there were shoppers who were trapped inside who couldn't get out when smoke and flames erupted in that supermarket. Roads, as we know, around the supermarket have been closed and residents in surrounding areas have been told to close their windows and doors and avoid going outside. The smoke has been described as acrid and it has been wafting over homes and businesses in nearby Ponsonby and also Grey Lynn, thick black smoke. And we are waiting a briefing from fire authorities at 2 p.m. A NIWA weather cam has captured this incredible view of the fire. So you can see it's still very much engulfed the area and it's still ongoing at the moment. We have our Herald crew down there at the moment and they have been speaking to people inside and workers when the fire broke out at the New World. Let's have a listen to what people had to say.
To evacuate, so I was like in the first 10 people.
First 10 people out?
Yeah, and then when I came out, I saw like there was a blaze and there was smoke coming out.
I saw a hell lot of smoke coming out of the roof of a building at New World Victoria Park. We walked in there to do some work. I'm a supplier, and within 15 minutes of being inside, I experienced the fire drill.
If you're just joining us, this is a special breaking news program of Herald Now. We are covering a massive fire that has broken out at New World Victoria Park. Our reporter Katie Harris is standing by and is back with us again, who's been filling us in all afternoon. Katie, I can see very clearly now where you're standing, those big holes that have been punched through, possibly by the force of the water or from the flames itself. What is the latest you can tell us on the ground there?
Kia ora, Mike. When I first got here this afternoon, that wall was still a wall and it just had blistering paint on it. Now you can see the bones of the building really through that smoke that's coming through. In the last few moments, just as we've gotten on the call, another side of the building, you can see that there's slightly blistering paint and that appears to be where the smoke is pushing through next. There's dozens and dozens of emergency service workers here trying to get this fire down, but I haven't seen black smoke like this in the last 10 or 20 minutes, and so it really seems to be quite cranking right now. The black smoke was not there 5 minutes ago when I was standing here, and so I'm not sure if this is a sudden boost in the fire, but it is the first time in a wee while that we've seen that black smoke.
Yeah, that's right, Katie. We know that this has gone to upgraded by fire and emergency to a 4th alarm. And as you mentioned just 10 minutes ago when I was talking to you, that what we're seeing behind you, that black smoke was not there. What does it smell like? And what are people telling you who are witnessing this unfold next to you?
From where I'm standing, the wind's actually going in this direction, so I can't smell the fire that much. When I was standing over that side of the building earlier, I could smell a slightly putrid, like acrid smell. Right now, this is, as I'm standing here, this is all just going very extreme. The flames are shooting up much higher than they were 10 minutes ago, and that thick black smoke is getting stronger. I'm seeing a few of the emergency service workers climbing down the ladder, and are absolutely blasting the fire now.
And have you noticed more crews and appliances turn up as we've noticed that this, the black smoke has started to come out of the store again? Have more crews turned up on scene?
I as there has been more vehicles arriving and more so parking down this end. When we first got here, the fire trucks were just lined up right along the road by the New World, whereas this part of Victoria Street is really filling up. We're seeing more people from Fire and Emergency gathering in this area. They may have been round the shop earlier, but this is where I think the main involvement of the fire is right now.
Yeah, so Katie, clearly it's not under control at the moment. Can you just remind our viewers who might be tuning in from down country where you're standing at the moment? This is a relatively busy part of the CBD, right? And it's a key arterial route to get you onto the motorway, for example.
Yeah, this is a key road, key artery of Auckland, really. To shore from here, you would have to drive down this road here to take you to the bridge. That road is shut, and so if you were coming from this direction, you'd have to go all the way around. Now, this road goes right to the Sky Tower, so we are very close to the Sky Tower for people not from Auckland. At peak traffic time, this road is chock-a-block with cars, and so if this fire is still going at the end of the day, there will be carnage on the road in terms of a lot of traffic. Yeah, as I'm standing here, I'm just seeing the smoke get bigger and bigger. They're trying to douse it with water, but I can't see any firefighters on the roof anymore. There's obviously some spraying, but it seems to be getting quite intense. There's a lot of water shooting off the top of these containers right now, and a lot of people analysing the situation on the ground here.
Yeah, I mean, did that sort of take you by surprise, Katie? Because last time we crossed you about 30 minutes ago, it very much looked like the smoke was dissipating, that they may have been getting this under control, and yet this has just erupted once more.
Yes, when we spoke 10 or 20 minutes ago, I thought the fire was going to be under control later this evening, and they might be putting out those hot spots. Now, I feel like it's a completely different story. This is the most smoke that I have seen in the last hour since I've been here.
That is our reporter, Katie Harris, at the scene. Thanks so much, Katie, for joining us. If you are just joining us now, this is a special edition of Herald Now. You can see these photos from our crew down there. I mean, pretty incredible scenes with fire crews fighting the fire from the air, and clearly huge holes punched in the side of the supermarket from this blaze at New World. Auckland Transport has posted on X that due to a building fire, College Hill, Victoria Street, Franklin Road and Scotland Road are now closed. Avoid this area or expect delays with diversions in place affecting all traffic. And we're going to go back to Chelsea Daniels from the front page, who is with us now and monitoring the live updates we're getting from our reporting team here at the Herald. What is the latest in terms of this official update from Fire and Emergency? Because we haven't really heard too much from them. The last thing I heard was that this was a fourth alarm, and that's sort of all we know. Any further information, Chelsea?
Yeah, so we initially got that first release, and then the second one, and then of course the alert. But that's it. So we are waiting until 2 p.m. where we'll take you guys live to the Fire and Emergency update. I do have an inkling about why the police were handing out evidence bags, though. I've done a little bit of zooming on my phone and found out that they may be collecting car keys.
I see.
Which would make sense. I can see a police officer here. They've got nose gear on. What are they called? Masks. As if COVID would never think. Yeah. N95 masks, and they're collecting what looks to be a lot of car keys.
Just to remind people, I mean, you've been to the supermarket a lot, and we know that the people who were in the supermarket when the fire broke out did get out. There's no risk to safety from that perspective, but there is a car park nearby, right? Have you been in that car park before? Does it hold quite a number of vehicles, does it?
Yeah, it does. So it's actually connected to the New World Victoria Park. It's right underneath. So you go around the side and then go down, and then once you're in there, you park your car, obviously, and then you go up and you head straight into the store. So once you go up the stairs or go up the kind of elevated railing, you're right in New World.
So would it be safe to assume that given the intensity of this fire and the smoke we're seeing, coming from the New World, that those vehicles down there are probably potentially going to be damaged as well.
Well, and who knows how much water's gone in there as well, gallons and litres and what, litres and litres and litres of water. You can see from the imagery at the moment how much water and everything's gone through that. Interesting, that white smoke going to black though, that does signify a couple of things. Firstly, white smoke is generally what you see at the beginning of a fire when it's got lots of oxygen, lots of fuel, and fuel might mean wood, things that it can get a hold of and eat up. The black fire might signify a couple of things. Hopefully that the oxygen from inside is being deteriorated as that water's going through. But goodness, those cars underneath there and how much water's gotten in. I can't remember with the convention fire how many cars on the very bottom level were destroyed or had to go through insurance claims. Mine was a few levels up, thankfully, but there was a worried night. It took a few days for them to clear that out because with the water and with the smoke, you've got the toxins and everything mixing together as well. So even if the fire is out, getting down there and seeing if your car's okay may still not be safe. They have to survey
Well, I
it.
suspect if people have got vehicles down there, there's a high likelihood that you are not going to be able to retrieve it before night. But we will wait. We're expecting a briefing from emergency officials around 2 p.m. is what we're told. Well, a NIWA weather cam has captured this incredible view of the fire. You can see just how engulfed by smoke the store and the surrounding area is. And I mean, recapping what we know so far, and you may be able to see from the live pictures we've got, I mean, there are 16 trucks in a command unit at the centre, and what we're seeing from the very latest from our team on the ground is that this fire is still not under control. We can see the walls of the building are blistering from the heat, and that there is a large presence on scene. Our Herald team is, of course, there, and they've spoken to workers who were in the store when the fire broke out.
To evacuate, so I was like in the first 10 people.
First 10 people out?
Yeah, and then when I came out, I saw like there was a blaze and there was smoke coming out.
I saw a hell of smoke coming out of the roof of a building at New World Victoria Park. We walked in there to do some work. I'm a supplier, and within 15 minutes of being inside, I experienced the fire drill.
If you're just joining us, this is a special edition of Herald Now. We're covering breaking news this afternoon. There is a huge fire in Auckland CBD at a New World supermarket. Let's go to Susie Nordquist, who is outside the New World for us again. And Susie, we know from just speaking to Katie that this fire seems to have really cranked up a lot more. We've seen a lot of smoke reigniting, if you like, from the scene. What are you seeing from where you are?
Yeah, well, as I said before, smoke was billowing hundreds of meters up into the heaven. What we can see now is actual flames popping up from the building. So it still isn't under control this afternoon, but we are due to hear more details at 2 o'clock and a media briefing, perhaps as to how this started and confirming that everyone was able to get out of the building.
Yeah, and Susie, we're just looking at live pictures at the moment. Thick brown and black smoke is still coming from the site. This must be causing a huge amount of disruption in what is a very busy part of Auckland CBD this afternoon.
That's right. New World Victoria Park is in central Auckland, and I'm looking to my right. There's cordons down here. There's cordons in all directions. We've got a few hours yet until peak hour, but we do understand that there will be some disruption on the road as well.
Susie, what's actually happening there behind you? I can see a couple of trucks. There's some firefighters that seem to be lingering around. Is this still very much a sort of active emergency?
Yeah, we did get those civil defence alerts previously to say to stay indoors and keep windows and doors closed in nearby suburbs. The smoke is drifting southwest, so sort of in the areas of Ponsonby and Grey Lynn. Loads of people around here, lots of bystanders sort of curious as to what's going on, and still a huge presence from firefighters and police this afternoon.
And Susie, we know that the shoppers who were inside did manage to evacuate when this fire broke out, but what about shoppers who may have had vehicles underneath the building behind you? Are there a few people who have gathered around recently to try and retrieve their vehicles, and if so, what are they telling you?
Yeah, so I was talking to a lady called Ming who was in the supermarket at the time the fire broke out. Her car is still actually underneath. There's a car park underneath the building. Her car and a whole lot of other cars are still down there. So I'm assuming that they're not going to get in there anytime soon to retrieve them. She was waiting for her husband to pick her up.
And Susie, we know that this has been upgraded to a 4th alarm. Can you kind of explain to those who are joining us this afternoon what a 4th alarm means?
Yeah, so it's technical language, but it essentially means that the fire is not under control. Fire trucks from all over Auckland have come here from north, west and south. That gives you an indication of just how big this event is. You can actually see the fire from the North Shore, so over the bridge. That's a fair way away.
That is our reporter Susie Nordquist live at the scene. Thank you so much, Susie. We will come back to you. Police have been seen using evidence bags to collect items, including car keys from workers. There is a car park on the ground floor, as Susie mentioned, of the supermarket complex, and the cars of many workers and shoppers are still trapped underneath. We're going to return now to Chelsea Daniels, who is with us here from the newsroom. Do we know anything more about the situation on the ground from Fire and Emergency or our team of reporters who are out there?
No, so we're still waiting for this media briefing, Mike. It's meant to start around 2 p.m, but as you know, these things might run late, it might run early, but we have a reporter there ready to go. It'll be with Incident Controller Vaughan Macareth about the fire at New World Victoria Park, and in that briefing, we'll be able to get a really good indication on how contained the fire might or might not be.
And I think interesting, we saw some live images before from the scene, and our reporter Katie Harris and Susie Nordquist have told us that this is very much not under control. It's an evolving emergency because the smoke has started billowing from the site once again.
Yeah, and the News Talk ZB's reporter, Kobe Murati, he's actually outside. He's posted some photos to a group chat, and you can actually see some flames on the outside of the building now, which weren't visible before. So whether that means that they are attacking it and then the fire is moving about and trying to get away from that water, you know what I mean, is too hard to kind of tell at the moment. But it definitely does not, from these images that we've been seeing and from what the guys on the ground have been saying, it's definitely not contained, is it?
And I guess that means, in a way, that you know, people who are in the CBD should be aware of what's happening this afternoon and also plan accordingly if they are attempting to get across the bridge later tonight, because this will cause quite significant disruption because of the proximity to the CBD, right, and the motorway.
It's an absolute nightmare getting onto that motorway at the best of times, isn't it? I think I came back the other way the other day and a 15-minute journey because I took the wrong turn turned into an hour-long journey. So I have no idea how you guys do it, who goes over back and forth across the bridge every day, but that just sounds like it's going to be an absolute nightmare.
Yep, no, it is difficult even in rush hour to get across the bridge, and this will no doubt make things much more difficult. As Chelsea mentioned, we are waiting for that press conference around 2 p.m. to get the very latest from Fire and Emergency. If you're just joining us, this is a special edition of Herald Now. We're covering breaking news this afternoon. There has been a huge fire at the New World in central Auckland at Victoria Park. The fire started around 11:15 this morning. Workers reported seeing huge flames, and shoppers have told the Herald an alarm went off and they essentially had to run out of the store, leaving their trolleys behind. It has been upgraded to level 4 alarm. Essentially, this means that the fire is not under control and resources have been brought in. That's crews and fire appliances from around Auckland. Right, we're going to go now to Auckland Central MP Chloe Swarbrick, who is on the phone. And Chloe, whereabouts are you at the moment and what have you heard about this fire?
Kia ora, Michael. I'm in Parliament as it's Scrutiny Week, so we've got our regular parliamentary business scrutinising government budgets and obviously the activities of Parliament. But yeah, I've been in touch with some of those on the ground, and from what I can hear, I think the most important message for people is to avoid the area and for folks to keep their windows closed if they are living or working near there. And I know that our firefighters are doing an incredible job, the best they can with everything that they have got. And there will, of course, as I'm sure you will have seen in commentary from myself and from a number of other concerned parties who've been working with particularly the NZPFU in the past, the Firefighters Union, that, our firefighters are operating under pretty challenging conditions. People will recall what happened on the North Shore with a fire a few weeks ago now, where there was some failure of some equipment. So I think, in the immediate sense and right now, it's important that people know that our firefighters are doing everything that they can with what they've got. But of course, there are bigger questions to ask as we get out of the immediate circumstances.
Yeah, Chloe, and we're just seeing live pictures. There's still a lot of smoke coming from the scene in central Auckland. What are you hearing from your constituents or businesses in the Ponsonby or CBD area? What impact is it having on businesses?
Oh, it's incredibly concerning. What I'm hearing from people is firstly, obviously, questions about exactly what's happened here. And I think the most important response to that is that right now it's best not for us to speculate until we have all of the facts on the table and for people to know that they should be avoiding the area. But yeah, as you point out, when it comes to local businesses who are a little bit concerned about what's happening in their immediate proximity, obviously that has an immediate flow-on request for them, a flow-on impact for them in terms of people coming into the area. So look, I think our priority has to be people's health and safety. So it is important that people are avoiding the area at the moment and that people are not speculating about what has caused this, but that we get this fire under control. We make sure that we're backing our firefighters, and then as we get this under control and the requisite questions begin to be asked, that we get those answered. Yeah,
absolutely. So just to clarify, have you been informed by emergency services or anyone else what may have contributed to this blaze?
At this point, we don't have the specifics on that, so I won't be speculating on that. But what I can say is that, look, I know from those on the ground that they are doing an incredible job. It's all hands on deck, as has been widely reported. And I think that this, once again, just shows us the importance of our front lines and such an incredible job that our firefighters do. We're really, really grateful for the fact that, as we know, there are currently no casualties. So again, this demonstrates the importance of people staying away from the area, letting our firefighters get on with their job, and that folks who are potentially in the area or the broader area who can see or smell that smoke, that they close their windows.
That is Auckland MP Chloe Swarbrick. Chloe, thanks so much for joining us from Parliament and providing the update on the impacts from businesses in the Ponsonby and CBD area. These are live pictures from the scene, and you can see that fire has busted through the walls. There is significant damage, and firefighters are still dampening down hotspots in the area. I mean, it's significant damage you can see from this. What's interesting is that in the last sort of 30 minutes, the black smoke that was coming from this supermarket appears to have dissipated somewhat, but no doubt fire crews still have a pretty big job on their hand. We're going to go now to our reporter Katie Harris, who is standing by and has been reporting for us from the scene all afternoon. Katie, what is the situation right now? It seems very clear that the black smoke that we had seen about 30 minutes ago has stopped somewhat.
Kia ora, Mike. In the time since we spoke large flames began popping through this side of the wall. It's hard for you to maybe hear me right now because they are absolutely blasting it with water right now. This area became completely involved in fire and became the main part of the blaze from this area. The side above near where the car park is has slowly dissipated and it's not as smoky anymore. But this area here, which had no fire earlier, as you can see, has now been burnt, and they are really focusing on cutting out that blaze.
Okay, and Katie, if you're still with us, what is the scene where you are away from that fire? Are we still having a lot of people who are gathering around, just coming down for a look?
Yeah, I would say the number that are still here at Victoria Park has been quite steady, but if you can look around here, we've got more people lining up along the street trying to get a glimpse at what's happening. I think as the day progresses and people finish work, they will come down and see what's going on, but as I said before, it did get a bit more serious in the last half an hour or so with that additional fire moving into this part of the building.
And Katie, we know we're standing by for the very latest emergency officials to get an update on what is going on exactly and maybe the cause of this blaze. But very clearly, this looks like it is still very much an evolving emergency and no doubt will cause some significant delays for people who are seeking to go home in a few hours from the office.
Yeah, exactly. As you can see, this whole road is being used by fire and emergency as sort of a point where they can make plans to attack this blaze. This is usually a main route to get to the North Shore or get back from the North Shore. To get to the North Shore or get back into Ponsonby from this way. So it will cause some real delays tonight, but more concerningly, this fire doesn't seem to be slowing down anytime soon.
Yeah, and Katie,
we can actually just hear a helicopter.
So Katie, can you, it looks like a huge effort is going on. Can you feel any of the heat coming from the building or can you smell the smoke, or is that kind of like heading away from you up the hill more towards Ponsonby and Grey Lynn?
The smoke is heading in the other direction, but as we're speaking now I can hear a helicopter. It could be unrelated, but it's unrelated. It's a Westpac rescue helicopter over there, but right now they're blasting it with water here and it is quite cold, but we're in the shade, so I think the heat is sort of moving that way alongside the smoke.
That is Katie Harris, our reporter, who is at the scene. And we're going to go now to Chelsea Daniels, who is here with me, the host of The Front Page. Chelsea, we're standing by, waiting to hear from Fire and Emergency for the very latest on what is clearly an evolving emergency downtown.
Absolutely. It doesn't look like it's dissipated too much, hey?
No, it doesn't really.
Especially with that fire on the side of the building at that one point, that seems really scary. Just actually seeing those visible flames from the street, that gives you some indication on how big this fire is, because it is quite a large building as well. And of course, you've got the cars underneath and all of the general New World layout. I'm thinking of all of the products in there, but I'm probably being a little bit too early on that. Hey,
I think that all the products within the supermarket may be, in fact, causing the fire to reignite, as we saw recently. That
billowing, hey. So at this press conference around about now, or when we get to it, when they start up, we were wanting to know if there's any containment at all. So at the moment it's uncontained, and that's the last report that we got from Fire and Emergency New Zealand. But that was like at 11:30 or so. It came at 11:20, and then the last update we got was around 1 o'clock, right? So it's been a full hour and a bit.
That's right. I mean, we have had subsequent to that the Civil Defence alert, although that is seemed to have been alerted to phones at different periods throughout the afternoon, as we witnessed here in the newsroom when it was happening. Essentially, the information for those people who were just joining us is to stay away from this area at Victoria Park, the New World, and to close windows and doors.
And that wind's going southwest.
That's right. So the smoke is going right up towards Ponsonby, Grey Lynn, no doubt affecting businesses up there at the moment. We are standing by for a briefing from authorities, and I guess we're trying to understand exactly what may have caused this, right? And how far away fire crews are from resolving the issue or stopping the fire and flames.
And it is really incredible what those fire investigators can do, but they do need to wait until the fire is completely out, right, until they can get in there. But fire forensics can tell you an amazing amount of how and when the fire started. You've got the direction of the patterns on the walls that they look at to determine where something may have started or come from. So at the moment, no clear word yet. That we may get some updates from Fire and Emergency Incident Controller shortly, but no clear indications where or how the fire started.
Yeah, Susie Nordquist was saying possibly in a storeroom, but how exactly it could have started in a storeroom and then evolved into what we're seeing at the moment. It's pretty incredible. We are standing by for this briefing from fire and emergency officials. You know, we're hoping to hear from them fairly soon. I mean, I travel across the bridge, come into this office, which is near the source of this fire every day, and it takes time, even in the afternoon or early in the morning, to get across the bridge. What are we thinking for motorists on their way home in a few hours?
Gosh, I mean, Victoria Street West at the best of times is pretty bad, isn't it? And you know, getting onto the bridge from this way as well has always been a real issue and a concern for people, especially going home and those who live across the bridge. Thinking of you this afternoon as I go off the other way. But it does beg a question as to, you know, this city is obviously not fit for purpose for the amount of people who actually live and work in the central CBD. So, look, I do not, you know, I don't.
And Chelsea, I actually haven't been into this New World recently, I don't think, but it would have been fairly busy at this time of the day because we know that the fire broke out at 18 minutes past 11 this morning. So, you know, people would have been in there to get their lunch, I assume, or just doing the weekly shop. Yeah,
absolutely. And this one is special, actually, in particular, because it's got a larger delicatessen area and it's got your sandwiches for lunch, your roast meals for lunch and stuff like that as well.
Okay, Chelsea, we'll leave it there. We're going to take you now to a media briefing with the Incident Controller, Vaughan McCatherick. We'll go there now and hear the very latest on what's happening at the scene.
All good to go? Good to go? Good afternoon, everybody. This morning at 11:18, our crews were called by a fire alarm activation to New World behind us. On arrival, there was a large fire, well developed in the mezzanine floor and upper level of the roof, which has made it very difficult for firefighting. Right now, it's not under control because it's too dangerous to be inside the building, but I can assure you that the exterior of the building has multiple deliveries on it. Right now we have 20 appliances in attendance with more coming. We have another aerial, so right now we've got 3 aerials working in Auckland here at this incident, and we've got 1 more aerial arriving from Hamilton shortly. Crews are expected to be here this afternoon and overnight. Really want to encourage people to stay away from this area. We've got roadblocks across Victoria Street, Franklin Road, Beaumont Street, College Hill. So if you can avoid that area. For those that live within that space or up towards Ponsonby Road, we'd encourage you to keep your windows shut, and if there's any issues with breathing or any difficulty from the smoke, then please advise 111. There's been no accidents or incidents reported. All of the staff and shoppers were evacuated at the time of the call. Look, I think it's too soon to say that, but what I can say, it was up in the mezzanine and roof space. But yeah, we've got fire investigators here, but until we get it out.
Was it a specific area in the roof space, like that storage room or something like that, as far as you're aware?
don't know. Sorry, I don't know that.
Do we have any concerns of asbestos currently? Has that been noted?
Hasn't been noted, but we certainly treat it as asbestos until proven otherwise.
I know there are renovations currently ongoing at the supermarket
Yeah.
here. Is that potentially a factor here?
Unknown at this stage. Sorry. No, I don't. Sorry, I don't know the number. But all I know is that they were all evacuated, and we've worked with the building owners and manager, and they've assured us that everyone was out.
And do we know what's being done about those cars that are currently underground? What's happening there?
So we are currently working with the owners of each vehicle. That's all I can tell you at this stage.
Well, do you think they'll be out overnight or not sure?
Unsure.
Can you give us any indication of, I guess, how large the fire actually is inside the roof? Obviously, we can't see it from out here, and you're having to blast through the
Yeah.
walls.
So I can tell you that it's actually like it's inside the building through aisles and things as well. So that's our challenge there. So once we can get in and contain it, we'll get it out.
I know there have been a few sort of crashing sounds as well. Are those things falling?
Yes. Yeah. So that's why it's become unsafe for us to be inside. No, I can't. I'm sorry.
Can this building be salvaged?
I'm hoping so, but no, I don't know the answer to that.
How complex is this fire compared to doing these things?
I think the complexity sits on the size of the building and the fact that it's sitting above in the mezzanine and the roof area. That's the complexity of it. So getting access into it, we've got concrete areas that we can't have our trucks on as well. So we've been working with the building engineers to just where we can park and not park, because there's obviously an underground car park.
Have any neighbouring buildings or cars been affected?
No, nothing.
How
At this stage, no, but we've been working with Auckland Emergency Management in case we're looking at contingency options should we need to overnight.
And there was issued obviously an emergency alert about this. That doesn't happen for regular fires, and so people are being told in the area that they're fine, and there's no threats to them. But that feels a bit threatening, doesn't it?
It's just simply a warning to let them know that we have got a fire in the area, and there is smoke. So the advice is just to close your doors and windows.
Seeing that the fire started from the way up, it's hard to get into that area. It's so dangerous inside of it. You said that there's fire in the different aisles.
Yep.
Do you think there are dangers that it's going to be really hard to contain and it will spread further to all parts of the building as this afternoon and evening goes on?
I'm hoping not. You know, we have it completely surrounded, but it's just until we can contain it to certain areas before we can get inside.
How long do you think it will take to contain it? It's
Hard to say at this stage. Just until we can contain it a bit better.
You said there were 20 trucks and
Yes.
coming. How many more are coming and where from?
Okay, so the furthest one is coming from Hamilton, and that's just another aerial appliance. So we're currently at a 4th alarm, so that's what the 20 trucks are. I've just increased it to a 5th alarm, and that's just to help staff rotation. You know, they've been here a few hours now, so it's just about rotating our staff out.
So one area was coming from Hamilton. When is it due to arrive?
Probably within the next 30 minutes.
How many staff are on this? So 25
So each appliance generally has four people on it, so 80 staff.
Are these good conditions for fighting fire? Is this kind of ideal for fighting a fire like this?
I don't think there's any good conditions, but yes, today is a good day. It's, you know, they're not wet or anything like that, so yeah.
Is there a message you'd like to send to people whose vehicles are in the underground car park?
Look, just reach out to police. Police are managing that for us.
Do you think there's a possibility that this area residents might need to get evacuated tonight if this gets worse?
I would think not. Okay.
Thank you so much.
If you've
Any
just been
questions for
joining
St.
us,
John
that was
or police?
Incident Controller Vaughan McCathrath, who is down there at the New
Okay.
World near
Thank you so
Victoria
much, guys.
Park.
Thanks,
Appreciate
Steve.
it.
Thank you.
Bringing us the very latest. So the Incident Controller Vaughan McCathrath was saying that the fire was in the upper part of the building, and that is making it very difficult for firefighting at the moment. There's about 80 staff who are working on bringing the situation under control, but it is part of the problem is that it's unsafe for those fire crews to be going inside the building at the moment. There are 3 aerial crews who are continuing to work on this emergency, and he is saying that fire crews will be there overnight. And I'm joined by the front page's Chelsea Daniels, who's here in the studio just listening to that briefing from the incident controller. Certainly it's not over yet.
Definitely not over there yet. So they've got the 3 aerials, 20 trucks, and 1 more truck coming in from Hamilton, which should arrive within the next 30 minutes or so, which is, I don't know, I'm concerned that we don't have enough aerial appliances in Auckland and we have to wait for one from Wellington, but I suppose that's a question for another day. Knowing that the fire is going through the aisles as well, imagine you're walking through a New World or any kind of supermarket and seeing on the shelves those different products. All of those are going up in flames, and that's probably why it's so difficult to get this under control. The staff can't go inside.
Yeah, that's right. Now, we heard him mention possible asbestos as well, so that's obviously another concern, a health and safety concern, especially for those firefighters who are on the scene.
Well, it's definitely, I mean, we don't know if it's asbestos or not, but in terms of just treating everything like it is probably a good idea.
Absolutely. Well, Chelsea Daniels from the front page, thank you so much for joining us this afternoon and bringing us the very latest from our team in Auckland. We're going to go now to Katie Harris, who is on the ground for us again, standing outside the New World at Victoria Park. So Katie, we heard there from the incident controller, still very much a live situation, an evolving emergency, and one where firefighters will be on the ground overnight tonight.
Kia ora, Mike. Yes. I mean, even in the last 10 minutes, you can see so much debris from that rooftop area has fallen down over here. You've got a lot of firefighters still working to get that blaze out of the rooftop, but it does look like it might be a long night.
Yeah, absolutely. It's incredible to look at those live pictures behind you. When I was talking to you about an hour ago, you couldn't see those holes in the side of the building, but just recount for us that this fire has actually ramped up in the past hour. So they're still very much on their toes and it's not under control at this point, is it, Katie?
Yes, when I first got here, this wall was still a wall. It did not have any exposed timber. This was still intact and there was no black marks all over the wall there. And now you can see all of this exposed framing, all of this timber, this black staining from huge flames that were licking the side of the building about 20 or 30 minutes ago. I mean, when we got here we couldn't see any flames, and that developed as we stayed here in the last hour.
Yeah, and Katie, we're told that the fire has started in the mezzanine floor of the supermarket, so on that upper level, as we can see from those pictures. But it's obviously quite hard or possibly impossible at this stage for fire crews to actually get inside and fight the fire from inside the supermarket. Is that part of the issue that fire crews face at the moment, do you think?
Yes, we have heard that it's too unsafe for fire crews to enter the actual store, and that's why I think we can see a lot of them standing out here looking and monitoring the fire and also working on it from outside the store. It just means tackling the blazes that much harder because they can't do it from the inside.
That's our reporter Katie Harris live for us yet again this afternoon. Katie, thank you so much for joining us and bringing us the very latest from the scene at the New World Victoria Park. More pictures are coming into our newsroom showing views of this massive smoke cloud from around Auckland. Hopetown Bridge, Freeman's Bay Primary School, the students there have been told to stay inside. We've got shots from Western Springs and from Ponsonby, so clearly the impact of this fire has been seen right across Auckland City. Just recapping again what we've heard, the Victoria Park fire is not under control. People are being told to avoid the area and stay away is the key message from incident controllers. The blaze started in the mezzanine and roof space. and soon spread to other parts of the building. More fire reinforcements were coming, including another aerial unit all the way from Hamilton. The incident controller, he was unsure when vehicles in the car park underground under the supermarket would be able to be retrieved. He couldn't say if this would be today or not, but he is urging people to be patient, and he'll provide everyone updates as soon as they have more information. Thank you very much for watching this Herald Now special covering this fire emergency in central Auckland. You can stay across more news as it develops this afternoon on nzherald.co.nz.